7 o'clock. It's time to call the Sherwood City Council meeting to order. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Nick Smith of Greater Faith Church to come forward and lead us in our prayer, please.
May I ask everybody to please stand as we go before the Lord in a word of prayer? Thank you, guys. Ask everybody to please bow your head. Our Father, who art in heaven, we come before thy throne of grace in the name of Jesus, giving you thanks, honor, and praise for this wonderful day. Father, for we realize that this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And so, Father, I pray, God, that you would continue to give us wisdom and insight and direction, Father, on how to be a blessing to this great and wonderful city. And Father, I pray that you continue to give the mayor and the leadership and the city council of this wonderful city, God, wisdom and direction, God, on how to move this city forward and propel it into the next dimension. So, Father, again, we thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, we give you the glory. Let everybody say amen. Amen.
Yes, I'd like to introduce to our Pledge of Allegiance my Boy Scouts Troop 770. We've got Lewis Miller, Riley Darr, Nathan Kennedy, Lucas Williams, Eli Jenkins, Landon Darr, and Eli Bennett. They'll be saying our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. If you want to take place, guys. And they are working on their the citizenship in the community and the communications merit badge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, guys.
Here. Harmon. Lilly.
Here.
McMahon.
Here.
Hyde. Here. Keplinger.
Here.
Sanders.
Here.
Williams. Here. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting on January 25th, 2016 is transcribed. Move for adoption. Second. Hyde. Here. Yes. Brooks. Aye. Harmon. Sanders.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Keplinger.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
January 2016 financials. Are there any questions? Sherwood Police Department Annual Award Presentation.
Evening, everyone. I'm Sergeant Wilson with the Sherwood Police Department. Tonight, it's my distinct pleasure to announce this year's awards to officers and civilians of the year. Each year, supervisors nominate the candidates based on their overall accomplishments for the past year. Tonight, we present those that were selected as officer, dispatcher, and employee of the year. Chief Bedwell will now come forward for the presentations. Officer John Murphy, would you please come forward? Officer John Murphy has been an officer with the Sherwood Police Department since June of 2013. Officer Murphy was assigned to the Patrol Division until September of 2015 when he was reassigned to the Cops Division. He was assigned to the Cops Division because of his maturity and experience. Officer Murphy has been a projects officer with the North Little Rock Police Department before coming to the Sherwood Police Department, and this experience would be a valuable resource to the Sherwood Cops Division. During his time assigned to the Cops Division, he worked without a supervisor due to the retirement of the Cop Sergeant. He had to plan multiple events to include the Veterans Day Parade, Christmas Parade, National Night Out, Explorer Post Leader, as well as multiple other day-to-day tasks along with being the department representative to many civic organizations and neighborhood watch programs with little to no guidance. All of these tasks were handled in a very professional and proficient manner that was so seamless that many did not know that he was new to the division. Officer Murphy was also assisted the school resource program by filling in for absent resource officers and helping work security at Silver Hill sporting events and other functions. Officer Murphy was a great stopgap that allowed the cops division to continue until a new supervisor could be put into place at the first of the year. And as that supervisor, I'm very grateful. Hey, let me read these. I'm going to throw something in. His efforts are very appreciated, and his continued devotion to duty and experience will certainly be an asset to the cops divisions for many years to come. It is for these reasons that I am pleased to present the award for 2015 Officer of the Year to Officer John Murphy. Officer William Smith, would you please come forward? Dispatch Detention Officer William R. Smith has been employed with the Sherwood Police Department since August of 2007. Since that time, he has worked in the capacity of both detention officer and dispatcher, which are both vital to the safety and security of both the patrol officers on the streets as well as the citizens of Sherwood. Officer Smith is known for having an outgoing personality and always strives for excellence in his assignments. For instance, Officer Smith takes great pride in his work area and is commonly seen sweeping, mopping, and doing various other cleaning tasks in and around the jail when he has slow periods. Officer Smith even volunteered to paint the jail because it was something that he knew needed to be done. Officer Smith is always willing to work when needed and has been a lifesaver in the division by covering many short shifts in 2015 due to manpower shortage in the division. Officer Smith is a very reliable and valued officer in his assignment. March 15th, 2015 was certainly a testament to his importance when he heard a disturbance in the booking area of the jail and ran to assist. Upon his arrival in the booking area, he observed an out-of-control individual physically assaulting another dispatch detention officer as well as a patrol sergeant. Officer Smith did not hesitate and took immediate action by physically restraining the individual. Officer Smith's immediate recognition and response in the incident resulted in limited injuries to the officers involved in a quick resolution to the encounter. It is for these reasons that I am pleased to present the award for 2015 Dispatch and Detention Officer of the Year to Officer William R. Smith. Ms. Carol Gregory, would you please come forward? First time I've ever got to tell her to do something. Ms. Carol Gregory has been the Secretary to the Chief of Police since June of 2013. In this role, she is the first contact that many Sherwood citizens have with the Sherwood Police Department, and she always strives to make that a positive experience. Carol is known by the city employees to be a very polite person to deal with and always seems to have a pleasant disposition. Ms. Gregory is responsible for the administrative duties for the Chief of Police, but she also handles payroll for the police department and assists in entering tickets when there is an overload in the cashier's office. Carol also assists in the Criminal Investigation Division and Professional Standards Division by transcribing interviews and announcements. Ms. Gregory is always helpful, never complains, and is an overall delightful person to be around. This professionalism and polite disposition serves the police department and the Chief of Police well in relationships that are developed between citizens of Sherwood and other agencies and departments that come into contact with us. It is for these reasons that I am pleased to present the award for 2015 Civilian Employee of the Year to Ms. Carol Gregory. That concludes tonight's award for the department.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everyone's service to the city of Sherwood. Next, Jerry Barner, Executive Director for Rock Region Metro presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. I promise to be bold, be brief, and be gone. So I'm going to work on that. But first off, I do have to take just a quick second. We have an award. I was hoping he could make it tonight, but he couldn't be here. Just a token of our gratitude to Daryl Brown, who has transitioned off of our board of directors. And so the plaque says, in appreciation to Daryl Brown for your visionary guidance and unwavering leadership as a board member of Rock Region Metro, and Daryl served from 2012 to 2016. So I'm going to leave this with Mr. Sellers. Go talk, but I also understand tonight we will have the opportunity to welcome a new board member. We love our board. We had a 12-member board of directors who really guides what we do, makes decisions on a monthly basis as far as the direction of our agency. And it's that group of individuals who launched Move Central Arkansas, which is an 18-month planning process to line out a new vision for transit in Central Arkansas. Before I get into that, a lot has changed at our agency since the last time that I presented to this board. We have a new brand. We've transitioned from CATA to Rock Region Metro. As this city has gone through rebranding or a changing of your logo, it's never easy. Everyone has opinions, but so far the feedback has been positive. We've got new buses. 15 new compressed natural gas buses are rolling and picking up our passengers each and every day. We've installed more shelters. We're in the process of installing 55 new shelters. We've added one out front of City Hall that we're proud of. We have another one specifically for the city of Sherwood as we implement more passenger amenities. Also, our buses are outfitted with new technology. Every single one of our buses has Wi-Fi so that people can stay connected and continue to work and be productive as they're riding the bus. A few weeks ago, we also rolled out a real-time passenger information system called MetroTrack. If you have a smartphone, you can download that, and it actually tells your citizens exactly where their bus is before it arrives. So we're doing a lot. We're focusing on modernization and innovation, but there's still a major step that all of our communities need to make to move us into the 21st century. And as hopefully you're aware, voters will have an opportunity on March 1st to fund a detailed set of changes. There's a tremendous amount of information on our plan, rrmetro.org/move. Appreciate the city's representation on the boards that participate in the development of that plan. But as far as moving forward, how do we move forward and what is really needed to move our system into the 21st century? One issue we're currently facing is the fact that our current funding structure is anchored in a 1986 agreement that really it binds the cities together in the county that formed Central Arkansas Transit Authority back then. It's a very fair mechanism, a very fair way of determining where services are run and levels of service. The cities all pay into the system based on the miles operated in that city, which again is a very fair way of doing things, but it's also a very rigid way of doing things because we're all linked together, meaning service changes in one city could potentially impact the level of investment required of another city. For instance, if we decrease miles out into the county, their overall miles are going to go down, but your proportion of miles would then go up. So we're locked into a situation where our route structure really can't change. We can't modernize. We can't implement new services without coming back to the various cities. The Sherwood-Jacksonville route is a wonderful example of the fact that we have three entities paying into that one route. So if Sherwood were to desire more service in your city, we would then have to work with Jacksonville and Pulaski County to come to the table and determine whether or not they're willing to invest greater amounts of resources into that route. So it's a very fair process, but it's locked us into a system that doesn't meet the needs of our community as it's changed. I'm sure this council is very well aware that across the country we have an aging population. And we worked heavily with AARP in the development of our plan and found that the number one desire of our aging population, probably of your parents, is that they want to age in place. They want to stay in their community. They want to stay in the home they raised you. And unfortunately, the lack of mobility is one of the major reasons why they're unable to stay in their home. They're having to move in with kids, or they're having to move to an assisted living facility. And so the mobility of our aging population is a critical component of this plan and why we've proposed the services that we have. We also have, it's overtaken, the millennial generation has overtaken our baby boomers as the largest generation in our country. And mobility and focusing on transportation alternatives is a critical component of their decision-making process on where they choose to live, work, and play. And so we know that greater investment in transit is going to allow us to attract and retain that young talent to Pulaski County and to the city of Sherwood. Major components of the plan you have in the outline, a list of some of the service changes that we want to make. And on the very back is a brand new route for the city of Sherwood. But overall, we know we need more direct service. We need more frequent service. That's a critical issue that we have now. We've got weekend service, and we need service that meets the demand, the changing demand and demographics of our city. And Sherwood is a great example of that. We want to roll out what we're calling now it's a draft at this point, but a Sherwood community shuttle that would offer your citizens local fixed route bus service for the first time ever. This is a way for your citizens to get to school and work and to after school activities for kids. Also, it's a connector. One issue we have now is that the level of service operated on the Sherwood Express route is well below standards. We have 2 trips in the morning and 3 trips in the evening and nothing in the middle of the day. We have to implement midday service. We need more peak period service because 2 trips, no one can rely on services. 2 trips in the morning and nothing in the middle of the day. A mom with 2 kids in school is not going to ride the bus to get to jobs in Little Rock, leaving their kids at school with no way to get home in the middle of the day. So we need to improve the services that we're offering within the city of Sherwood, and the Move Central Arkansas plan, I think, goes a long way in addressing that. The fixed route service that we want to offer, I think it's going to do 2 things. It's going to allow people to live, work, and play in the city of Sherwood using transit, but it's also going to connect people to jobs better than we're able to do today. The commuter services that we're offering are all one direction. It's all to get people into downtown Little Rock. We want to offer that service in both directions. We heard from a lot of people in North Little Rock and Little Rock that there are jobs in Sherwood, there are employers in Sherwood that need people. And so we want to make sure we're making those connections between the people who need jobs and the industries that have them. And so the community shuttle, combined with a better express route operating in both directions, is going to better connect people to jobs within our region and have, I think, a significant impact in your city. So those are the highlights of the plan. The campaign has started. There's more information on the campaign at vote2connect.com. There's the ballot is obviously early voting has started March 1st. Is election day, and we feel that a quarter-cent sales tax, which is about a quarter for every $100 you spend, is an adequate, is a small ask, and it would adequately fund our transportation system. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions, Mayor, or be gone if so.
Is there any questions from the council?
I have one.
Mr. Varner, I think when you spoke at the chamber, I think I asked this question, so let me just see if anything has changed. Are you also considering the link service in Sherwood as well?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I failed to mention the innovative nature of our community shuttle. So the community shuttle, again, very draft. After the meeting or some other time, we'd be happy to talk to you about that, the outline of that route. But what it would do, not only would it operate on that fixed route, anyone with a disability would be elderly or disabled who cannot access that route, but they would be able to call in, and the bus would flex off of that route and pick them up at home. So we're provided, so within 3/4 of a mile, roughly, of that route, it would flex off and provide those with a disability access to the system.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Varner.
Thank you.
Committees and our commissions, Advertising Promotion Commission. We did meet, and the minutes are in your packet. Anyone has any questions? If not, so we will meet as scheduled next month, first Wednesday of March. Civil Service Commission. Parks and Recreation Committee.
Yes, we did meet, and the minutes are in your packet. There is one change that I want to make everybody aware of, is our meeting time. We're changing those dates, the time for that from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, so that we can get more involvement from our patrons. So, any other questions, I'll be glad to answer. If not, we are going to meet Monday the 14th at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Is there a motion this evening to waive the reading requirement?
I would make that motion.
Aye. No. Brooks? Aye. Harm? Sanders?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Keplinger?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
McMillan?
Aye.
A resolution appointing Denny Tipton to the Sherwood Parks and Recreation Committee. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Sherwood that the following person is appointed to serve on the Sherwood Parks and Recreation Committee for the term as set forth. Denny Tipton, term to expire 12/31/2020.
Move for adoption of the resolution. Second. Aye. Aye. Brooks? Aye. Harmon? Sanders?
Aye.
Williams? Aye.
Keplinger,
Aye.
Lilly,
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
Personnel Committee,
Yes, we did meet, whenever we met this past Thursday, so there is no minutes in your package. We'll be there next month. A couple things we went over is, the city planners. We discussed the city planner position. I know Alderman McMahon had asked about that a couple of meetings ago. And we tabled that, because we only have, right now, we got 4 people. One member was missing. I think after tonight, we'll have a full committee, so we'll take on that next meeting. We did reclassify a couple positions, one in the police department and in the city clerk's office. So with that, any questions, I'm glad to answer. If not, we will meet again March the 3rd at 4:30, Bill Harmon Rec Center. We have a resolution.
A resolution appointing Patricia Planick to serve on the Sherwood Personnel Committee. Now therefore be resolved by the City Council of Sherwood, Arkansas, that the following person is appointed to serve on the Sherwood Personnel Committee for the term as set forth. Patricia Planick, term to expire 12/31/2019.
move for the adoption. Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Keplinger,
Aye.
Lilly,
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
Planning Commission,
An ordinance rezoning the property located at 7617 Jacksonville Cutoff from R1 to C3 Commercial, amending zoning map and for other purposes. That is the reading of the ordinance.
is there any questions or discussion by the council?
Move for the adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks,
Aye.
Sanders,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Keplinger,
Aye.
Lilly,
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution regarding certain exterior building materials, and I wrote this so the council would have it if it needed it, but rather than read the resolution first, I think it would be probably appropriate to ask the representatives from the church to present the information they have about the material that they want the city to approve.
Super. Mr. Mayor and council members, we want to thank you guys for letting us be here. What we're wanting to do is we're wanting to use an architectural panel on a portion of the front of the church, the new church facility. The face of the building is 180 feet long. It's a feature that will be at the far right if you're looking at the picture. It's a 30-foot feature, and it's going to use an architectural panel. Let me let you kind of look at it. We'll pass it around. But this is the panel. You know, the reason why it's in question is the material that it's made from, and so that's what we wanted to come and get permission on, is the possibilities of using that panel on the face of the building. Inside your brochure, if you kind of flip through it, it'll show you how this is used. This is it's certainly, I think one of the important things for us to remember is this is not an inexpensive way for us to do a feature. It's actually a pretty expensive, pricey way to do it. It's normally found in high-end upscale architectural buildings, and that's basically what it is. And so if you can kind of thumb through the pages and see that it actually uses a hidden fastener system. It's a really nice piece of material. It's certainly not metal siding. I mean, it's a nice architectural piece.
Are you?
Yeah, I feel good with that.
Okay.
When I visited with you, one of the questions I had was what the warranty or the guarantee on the product was.
Yes, ma'am. It has a 20-year guarantee on the paint. The metal itself is lifetime, as long as you maintain it. So these are panels that characteristically on the larger building projects, larger construction projects, they're characteristically high-end, and that's just because of the price point. It's significantly more expensive than most exterior coverings that you would deal with in a commercial application, and it's usually used just for a design feature, and that's what this one is.
Scott, would you tell everybody the height and the distance that this is going to cover?
Yeah, it's 30 feet. The front of the building is 180 feet long, so it's 30 feet of the 180 feet, so it's that one corner that's on it.
It's on the east end?
Is it this part right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it. Yes, ma'am, I think that's right. Is that east? Yes, it would be.
Towards the interstate?
Yes, ma'am, east.
Okay.
And this would be running, vertically.
Vertically. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for coming and asking and seeking permission before purchasing it and doing it. I thank you for that
Yeah, absolutely.
foresight.
Absolutely.
Scott,
Yes, ma'am.
We go way back.
Truth.
Yeah. I'm sure you kind of know the history. We have gone through a lot of rigmarole when it comes to the whole trying to do with the metal building. Look, and I know that this may be expensive. It's going to still look like a high-end metal building when it's all done. When we were really trying to move towards masonry exterior and trying to get a certain look.
Sure.
The problem that I personally see is that although you may do high-end, somebody else could come in and do low-end with a similar look to it, and
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Let me speak to two parts of that. I think one is that if you read the ordinance, in the ordinance it specifically speaks to you guys making individual decisions about particular architectural designs, and so that's one. So I don't think it sets a precedent as far as what someone else would do. I think the second part about that is that when you look at high-end design as far as architecture, variety of materials and textures on the face side of the facility is really very, very, in fact, if you look at kind of the Little Rock skyline, you'll see that variety of stainless steel and brushed metals, and you'll see dry stack stone and Dryvit and those kind of things. And that's what we're going for. I really, one of the things that I think is really important, especially for this building, we're at the highest point in the city of Sherwood. Most people don't know that, but we are. That's where we are. And that will be probably one of the tallest buildings in the city, I would think. I don't know if there's one taller than ours, We can claim that skyscraper spot.
That's 20 years ago. You
I
guys
know,
give
but hey,
yourself
listen,
time.
someone's going to occupy this spot. You know what I mean?
What's the rest of the building going to be?
What the rest of the building will be Dryvit. It's that regular, material that we're talking about. The rest of the whole face of that is going to be the Dryvit. We're talking about one feature on one corner. One other thing that I will mention that you guys may or may not know, which I think is kind of exciting, based on the population of our city, that church is within the top 10% of all the churches within the entire country. We have people coming from all over the place to actually look at what we're doing, because when you look at the number of people who live in the city of Sherwood and the number of people who are actually a part of that church, 20% of our city actually belongs to our church, finds that that's their home, which is pretty cool. We feel like we really want this to be kind of a standout hallmark feature. We would love for it to be the kind of place that when people drive down Keel Avenue, they look and go, wow, so I don't feel like you're making an exception that when someone's going to throw up, say, for instance, a steel building and just try to throw siding on it. I really don't think that it fits that exception. I really feel like we're saying, hey, this is kind of an identity feature for our city that we can look at and say, hey, this is pretty nice. Incidentally, the new Amboy school that they just built is made out of this exact same material, and it does not fall in that metal siding category at all. This is really architectural panels. I mean, it's completely in a whole different class to itself. I actually personally agree with the spirit of the ordinance on the metal buildings. I think I think we need that, especially in our city. I think it's really important for us to have that kind of a presence, and I think that is important, but that's certainly not what we're trying to do here. It's really going to be something nice. I mean, we are not going the low-end way. We're not looking a way to skirt it. This is a high-end, and it is expensive and pricey, but it really is going to look
so we can save you money.
Yeah, you could save us money, but we want it to be sweet. We want it to go, wow, that's really a cool church in the city of Sherwood.
So what's behind the panels? I mean, obviously there's not much insulation factor there or anything, so.
Yeah, there's actually steel behind the panel, and then we have our insulation behind that, and then we have our steel panels and another layer of insulation, and then our sheetrock and stuff. So that's the full layer of it. The profile of that panel is really just for architectural purposes. We actually have a substrate behind that is pretty substantial. I mean, it's your regular building construction behind it. This is just a piece that puts a feature on the front of the building that you go, wow, it looks good.
So you're saying it's a decor?
That's exactly what it is, yes, ma'am.
And this building is going to be, what, 6 stories?
It's right at 52 feet tall on the face. So, yeah, and when you look at the retainer wall that's there, it's way up there. I would not want to have to climb up there and change a light bulb or something. Yeah, it's scary.
Would the council like me to read the resolution?
Yes, please.
A resolution approving certain exterior building materials for construction of that church in Sherwood, Arkansas.
I think Scott and I talked about this today. I was up there with him for quite a while looking at this, and I expressed to him the same thing that Alderman Hay expressed, of just the hesitancy of approving something that we may have to come back and look at on other buildings down the road. Because we know once it's approved, then the potential for other developers, builders, or whatever coming in are going to ask for the same thing, possibly, maybe not.
Sure.
And we'll have to deal with each one individually. But after looking at it and looking at the distance, the 30-foot in comparison to the 150-foot that is going to be not metal, it's just a little section of it. And it's going to be the same color, it's going to be the grayish color, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So it will kind of blend in with everything that you got going there.
Yes, sir. It's all themed, yes, sir.
Okay. And then around the side is also going to be, it won't be metal, it'll be...
Yeah, it'll be driving. It'll be our driving material all the way wrapped around.
I'm really, again, I do have a little hesitation, but not enough to warrant turning this down. So I would make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Aye. I love you, Scott, but I can't. I'm sorry.
Brooks? Aye.
Sanders?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Kiplinger?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
McMinn?
Aye.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Scott.
Senior Citizen Committee? Sewer Committee? Street Committee?
Street Committee did not meet this month, so you would have no minutes.
I have a question, I guess, of Brian. About mosquito spraying and about the Zika virus and all this stuff. Are we getting prepared for mosquito season?
Yes, we started inventorying our chemicals today.
Okay.
Are we going to change that? I know that right now it's kind of, are we going to go back to more of a fogging type of a system where it can cover a wider area versus what we're doing right now?
That's what we do right now. We use a fogging machine, ultra low volume.
Okay. Just very big.
Public Facilities Board?
Next item is a report to the council. Last month, we had the resolution and the public meeting with respect to the bond issue for the refinancing of the greens at North Hills. And you may recall that toward the end of that meeting, there was some discussion about some other projects that the city would like to undertake as well. And Jack and Leanne from Stevens kind of went back to the drawing board. And I will not say this exactly the way it needs to be said, but I'll do the best I can. And then if they have questions. The type of bond that we were considering last month is a bank qualified bond. And in the issuance of those, the municipality is limited on a calendar year to a $10 million cap on bond issues. And while this one is not $10 million, I think it's 6 or 6.5 for the and we are looking toward, or we have a vision toward getting the Maryland project done. And if we try doing the refinancing for the golf course, it's going to leave us a little short on Maryland. And I know that there's some discussion also about the A&P Commission doing some projects as well. So what Stevens presented was a different idea with a different category or type of bond that doesn't fall under the $10 million umbrella, which would free up essentially $10 million more dollars. And I'm not saying we necessarily have to spend all of it, but that we have the ability to do other issues of bonds for other projects. The issue that we were considering has a requirement on the front end of the city having to fund a considerable amount of debt service that takes up quite a bit of the money. The bond issue that is now being presented or offered does not have a debt service requirement. It has a surety, and that is the insurance, if you will, for the payment of the bonds. The change, the biggest change is, and it's in terms of numbers, I think it's going to be actually a little bit cheaper for the city in the long run with doing the bond issue differently. But the industry is more comfortable with a city municipality being the actual sponsor of the bonds, if you will, as opposed to a public facilities board. So the public facilities board has met. They've considered what has been offered by Stevens in terms of changing this project from the public facilities board to the city, and they have voted and have recommended to the city that the city pick up the bond issue and move forward. This one goes to market quicker. It goes in 30 days as opposed to 60. And so what we anticipate is going to happen is next month we will have another public hearing and another bond issue, but instead of it being the public facilities board doing the refinancing, it will be the city of Sherwood doing the refinancing. Is that essentially correct?
Very good. You trained him up?
Right, yeah, it frees up $10 million of funds. So we can look at Maryland, and we can look at the AP, and in terms of some of the projects in the parks and the master street plan. So I anticipate there might be some questions about why we weren't talking about the bonds tonight, and that's the reason. We're kind of starting over, but it's going to be essentially the same thing, just with a different issuer, it being the city.
You will come back with the council before that moves forward.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll be back next month with essentially the same thing. And I just wanted to give you an explanation as to why that's what's happening.
Steve, how does this work in terms of, I thought the facilities board, do they then own the property? Do we own the property? Who leases it? That type of
Public
stuff. How
Facilities
does it
Board is the
rank?
title owner of the Greens North Hills Park. They're the title owner. But that does not impact on the financing question. I specifically asked that question to the bond council, and the fact that they hold title doesn't impact on who's issuing the bonds.
But in that little, okay, so they're going to hold the title and we're going to hold all the debt, and then we're going to lease it from them.
We had all the debt anyway. Yes, we hold the debt. We have a lease. This is a lease of the whole project.
And should we not be the ones then why do we need the facilities board holding the title then?
The way that the property was purchased, you have to have an entity like that set up to make the purchase of that real estate. And I can get more specific for you if you let me do more research. But, I'm sorry?
It's complicated.
Yeah, it is. But we had to have that to facilitate the purchase and for the city to lease it as opposed to purchase it. And I'm sorry, I can't remember all the reasons offhand, but there's good valid reasons, and I'll answer your question. And at the end of the bonds, which are going to be 17 years?
2038.
Okay. The city buys the golf course for $1, essentially. That's when they convey title, but we actually own it fee simple at that point.
It actually shortens the amount of years that they offer, isn't it? Isn't it cut it short just a little bit? Thought so.
Any other questions?
Mayor, may I make one point?
Please. Maybe clarify.
Thank you. I'm Leanne Burnett with Stevens. Just one point of clarification. If the Public Facilities Board would be issuing these bonds, a 60-day referendum period would have been required. This way, under this methodology, it would take advantage of the market, and the plan would be to actually issue bonds the day of your March council meeting and come to you that night requesting authorization to pass the bond ordinance. So I just want to make that clear. We would move forward on the calendar, which means you would see an offering document, and we'd actually be offering the bonds and then coming to you to pass the ordinance.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. Okay, I'm on item 10 with the agenda. A resolution appointing April Roderick, replacing Darrell Brown, to serve on the Rock City Metro Board, formerly known as Central Arkansas Transit. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Sherwood, Arkansas, that the following person is appointed to serve on the Rock City Metro Board, formerly known as Central Arkansas Transit, for the term as set forth. April Roderick, term to expire 8/25/2017.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Aye. Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Kettlinger.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
And Mrs. Broderick is here tonight. Would you please, thank you for serving.
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding for the purchase of a police department dispatching and records management software system, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. That is your reading.
Well, what's the purpose for waiving the bid? I mean, is there,
Chief?
Good afternoon. The main reason, purpose of the bid is, the way the requirements is, we're wanting to get the same exact system that North Rock is using and Jacksonville is using. That way it'll let us interface and share some of their data. I mean, the way we look at it, we're arresting the same people they are, and we can't get into anything of theirs, they can't get into anything of us, and it'll put us all on the same page. There's only the one company that, you know, we're looking at services North Rock and Jacksonville. I wouldn't want to be in with their system.
Chief, are you saying this is proprietary software?
Yes, it's like the one company and.
Okay.
Does this have any effect on the Little Rock or any of the other departments?
I'm not sure what Little Rock is using, but we deal with North Rock and Jacksonville, you know, all the time. I mean, basically, we were working with them all the time, you know, and we all arrest the same people. They run, you know, and occasionally, yeah, we do get some from Little Rock. Little Rock gets some from us, but they're on a different program, and I'd rather be with North Rock and Jacksonville. That should work out better. I think it'll help us out a lot.
What's the pleasure of the council? Move for adopt.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead. Rock, paper, scissors.
Move for the adoption of the ordinance.
Second. Aye. Aye. Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Kettlinger.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
There is an emergency clause.
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks. Aye. Sanders.
Aye.
Williams. Aye. Kettlinger.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
McMinn.
Aye.
A resolution expressing the willingness of the City of Sherwood to utilize Federal Aid Transportation Alternative Program funds.
We have to demonstrate that we as a city are willing to pay our portion and have that money's on hand to apply for this grant. And this is located, Kelso, north off of Jacksonville Cutoff.
I know where Kelso is. Where's Burns?
Off of Kelso. Mike, that's correct, isn't it?
It's just a continuation. It's one of those places where.
The name changes in the middle of the street.
Right, the name changes in the middle of the street, but it's just a continuation of Kelso. And what that would do is connect North Valley, where we're putting sidewalks, to Highway 107. Would tie that neighborhood where they could get access to 107.
Would you share the total cost anticipated of this project?
Anticipated cost at this stage is $250,000, so it would be $200,000 grant, $50,000 from the city of Sherwood.
There'll be quite a walking system for that community out there.
Are there any other places where we can, do they have any other grants available that we're looking at in terms of other places in our city?
What, for sidewalks?
Yes.
I think that's all.
We just got one approved to finish the sidewalks to the Safe Routes to School program. We just recently did sidewalks for finishing up right now in Shelby and Summershade behind City Hall. This will connect, we'll finish the sidewalks on Oak Brook, Thornhill, and through that neighborhood of Redwood to Maryland. So it'll give a good loop in that neighborhood too. But yeah, we're continually looking at areas.
What made this area qualify for this grant specifically?
Well, part of the Imagine Central Arkansas, this one's through Metro Plan. Typically, in the past, they've been through the Highway Department, it's the Safe Route to School. This one's through Metro Plan. Part of the Imagine Central Arkansas is they're wanting to provide walkable routes to business areas to shopping areas or restaurants, and so by providing them access to 107. We also have that little park on Glade. Once we get the sidewalks on North Valley and through Kelso, then it's just a short extension on Glade to tie all of that into that neighborhood park too. So it kind of serves two purposes.
Thanks,
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks? Aye. Sanders?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Keplinger?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
Ham.
Aye.
And ordinance amending ordinance number 2088 regarding garbage collection fees and for other purposes.
Will you explain in this?
Sure. We passed, what month was it?
January? December?
No.
It was
December, wasn't it?
okay.
December.
We left out the word commercial in that ordinance. And when we sent this over for the billing to commence, they noticed that we had not mentioned a commercial garbage collection, and so this is to correct that omission.
Move for adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Brooks? Aye. Sanders?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Keplinger?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
Ham.
Aye.
With respect to the next item on the agenda, the council did move to waive the reading requirement, but I've been asked to read this just one time and continue it to next month. An ordinance repealing a portion of ordinance 1669 and for other purposes. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for the sale of 403 Callaway, Sherwood, Arkansas.
This is the same properties that I think we thought it was last year, could have been 14 that we thought we had sold, and we did not have a clear title. And it has taken quite an extensive amount of time to get that title clear. Oh.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Aye. Aye. Brooks? Aye. Sanders?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Keplinger?
Aye.
Lilly?
Aye.
Ham.
Aye.
Mayor, that is the agenda.
Thank you. We have old business. We have a NIMS update tonight. Mr. John Swanson.
Brief comment.
He briefly voted 3 Bs.
Mayor Young, members of the City Council, I'm John Swanson, the Director of MEMS, and it's my privilege to make an annual report to you. I'm going to briefly cover the items that I've listed here. And a reminder for the folks in the audience that MEMS is a public nonprofit agency in the city of Little Rock. We've been in place for 31 years providing ambulance services in Central Arkansas, governed by our own board of directors, here represented by Marina Brooks. We serve all of Pulaski County except Jacksonville, Faulkner County, Grand County, and the Cabot area. So about 1 out of every 6 Arkansans is served by MEMS in Central Arkansas. In Sherwood, we have 2 paramedic units that are here 24/7, and then additional units are called in when they are busy. Additional units come in to back them up. Plus, we have a separate fleet of basic ambulance services that are dedicated to doing non-emergency transfers so as to keep those paramedic units available. In addition, and a point I'd like to emphasize tonight, is MEMS is supporting both your SWAT team and the law enforcement first responder training, LEFR training. I'll come back to that point in a minute. I wanted to show you here is that over the 10 years that MEMS has been here, our call volume has increased by 50%. We're now transporting, as you can see up here, 3,100 patients were transported from the city of Sherwood in 2015. So the trend lines continue to go up. You notice on our response times, however, that our resources continue to support a response time that runs about 6.5 minutes on average. That trend line has stayed pretty even despite the significant increase in volume. I mentioned earlier about you working with the police department, providing advanced tactical medical training. We deploy with your SWAT team and involved in both the real world and training events. And we're going into a significant emphasis on ongoing active shooter protocols that allow us to reach the patients sooner. Law enforcement focuses on stopping the killing. In EMS, our focus is stopping the dying. And in that context, we've provided law enforcement first responder training to the Sherwood Police Department,
That involves using tourniquets, check seal bandages, blood clotting bandages, and the IFAC is the individual first aid kit that's issued to each police officer upon completion of the training. That's funded by the state of Arkansas's trauma system. And the Sherwood Police Department has 2 documented lives saved last year using this tool. I mentioned too about medical control for MEMS. Dr. Chuck Mason is our medical director. He chairs a medical committee at MEMS that involves all of the emergency room physicians that are in the service area of MEMS. These doctors evaluate our performance and direct protocol changes, equipment changes, and so forth. But most importantly, establishes a very strong partnership with the emergency rooms where we deliver patients. And just an example of some of the changes that have been made is the clinical performance reviews are constant. We are involved, we sit in on hospitals, STEMI committees, and stroke committees, just examples of that partnership. Our medical directors attending national conferences, in fact, one they just took this past weekend. I mentioned here an example too, with working directly with the neonatologist at UAMS. These physicians actually come to MEMS and teach our paramedics personally on how to improve our care for baby deliveries, troubled baby deliveries in the field. Another change that we made was adding TXA as a blood clotting medicine as opposed to a bandage, medication that we could administer to a patient who's suffering a severe or suspected internal bleed to help control the damage. And then another point here about on-scene cardiac arrest. This is a significant change for MEMS. What we're doing has been tested in other large cities around the United States, including New Orleans and Seattle. But the result is that for cardiac arrest, we now remain on scene for as much as 30 minutes. The significant point of this is to emphasize quality, uninterrupted CPR, starting with bystanders, firefighters, and MEMS to make sure that this patient is getting the best chance to be resuscitated. We use the same drugs and protocols with the electricity as the emergency room does. And while I was concerned that the families might have a hard time accepting what we're doing, we're actually finding a great acceptance because they're able to see the efforts that are being made at the scene. The goal of all of this is to improve resuscitation rates. The term is the ROSC, the return of spontaneous circulation. In 2014, we had nearly 600 documented cases of a arrest in the field, and you can see in 2014 we had about a 16% recovery rate to get ROSC. In 2015, before the protocol changed, that trend line continued at 15.7%, which is consistent with what is around the country for folks who are using the so-called old protocol. In the fourth quarter of last year, we switched over to the new protocol and have doubled our ROSC. That doesn't mean the patients are necessarily going to be able to get home, but it does mean that if we don't get a ROSC in the field, they have no chance to go home. And we're pushing this to want to get this above 40%, being able to get that in the field. So this is, I think, in our early 2.5 months, we were able to document 8 saves. This year, by my records, indicate this is the 5-year interlocal agreement is due for renewal this year, and it's certainly MEMS' desire to continue to serve the community. And I would remind you that in 2015 and 2016 this year, we have not needed to ask for any funding support. Any questions?
Very good. Good report.
Thank you.
I will stress this. I just don't get complaints about MEMS. I just hear good things. I mean, really, when nothing's said, it's an indication that people are pleased. And, as many runs as you make in our city, we just do not have, we're just not getting any complaints. But we appreciate your service to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Economic development update.
I don't have a PowerPoint. I've given you the condensed version as I do every quarter. I will also do the same with the Chamber Board tomorrow, and I'll have the Oversight Committee meeting more in detail tomorrow afternoon. So I've got 3 meetings in 2 days, so we'll get that out of the way. I can briefly say that I really appreciate MEMS loaning Matt Hutchison to us as our new chairman of our Chamber of Commerce Board. He's going to be a great boss to work with. A couple things I can mention today is the Baptist Health Project, which is going to go on the Four Corners area. They plan on having an official announcement and a groundbreaking sometime after they finish the hospital in Conway, which if you've been by there lately. They're well on their way there, but it might be a little while. But we're excited to have them make the investment in the community and to get to that area. The reason I ran out very, very quickly with the pastor was the fact that, they had bought some land a while back just off the Four Corners area, and I wanted to make sure that that land's going to be back on the market, and it is. So we're excited about that, as well as the land the Church of Christ bought at one time with them expanding at their current location. That property will also be available. So as soon as I see one opportunity, I'll run over and catch that. But we've got probably a couple of restaurant announcements we'll have in the next couple of weeks, we hope. The area that's dry, I've been calling every restaurant I can think of that doesn't want to serve or is part of their menu. That's the good news. The bad news, they still want to be on this side of the line. So you'll be excited to see they're going to be good sales tax collectors as well as hire a lot of people. One of them will be a 24-hour operation as well. So we're very excited to be here. We're excited to have y'all as a partner, and overall things are going very well. I will say we have one building just outside of the city limits that we've shown the last couple of weeks, and again, it's in the county, it's not in the city, it's just right across the railroad tracks there that the owner is doing a lot of renovations and rework on, and so we're talking to them about an industrial project through MRLA that we're hoping to be able to get that in there as well. So,
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Any new business? Anyway, announcements, Sherwood Neighborhood Watch Fair will be tomorrow night, beginning at 6 o'clock p.m. at Sherwood Forest. This is our first one, so this should be approved. It looks like it's going to be really good. A lot of good things lined up. Sherwood Animal Shelter Spring into Spring with a new pet. We'll have one half-price adoptions, first week of spring, March 21st through the 26th. And also, it's hard to believe, but it's time for the Easter egg hunt will be Sunday, March the 27th, 2 o'clock p.m., Sherwood Forest. Are there any more announcements?
Move we adjourn. Second.